The latest official evidence of the human cost of coronavirus shows a very sharp rise in the number of deaths.
For the second consecutive day, the daily death toll in the UK has risen by more than 900.
The virus has now killed more in a few weeks than flu does in an average year.
It was so awful on the wards at that time. Day on day, it was unending, this influx of patients. It was just the enormity, the scale of it that was just overpowering. And it was also the fact that we didn't really understand the disease. We didn't know what to do with it. We were all terrified. I came home and just cried on many evenings. The one patient who will always stick in my mind was a gentleman who knew he was dying. He was very unwell, and he said, well, if you keep me on this oxygen, you're just going to prolong things. I've made my peace with God. I want you to turn off the oxygen. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done, knowing that he would probably die. And he did. Well, at that point, as the numbers of COVID infections increased towards the end of summer and the beginning of autumn, things were clearly getting bad again. We were entering this second surge. The director of the Oxford Vaccine Group got in touch and said, would you like to get involved? I honestly tried not to think about the wider pressures of, the burden of expectation that was placed on this vaccine and on the trials. Normally, it can take up to 10 years for a vaccine to go from development to being in people's arms. My focus was to show that the vaccine was safe and well tolerated, and also that it stimulated good immune responses. In order to be able to see if a vaccine prevents disease, you need to have large numbers of people. We were overwhelmed with volunteers, though, and we had to, in fact, shut down our recruitment website within 48 hours because it just crashed. We had so much interest. It did seem to be an enormous mountain to climb. Just the scale and the speed that was going to be needed. But I knew that, if there was something that I could do to help prevent people getting this sick, that had to be worthwhile, that I had to focus my energies on that. I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, getting ready for school the next day, doing the usual chores, and I had a phone call to say, you need to jump on a call now. So I shut myself up into my study, turned on my computer, got onto the call, and we went through all the results.
Britain's Oxford University and its pharmaceutical partners AstraZeneca have published the preliminary results from large-scale trials.
It took a little while for it all to sink in.
Key data from clinical studies of 24,000 people show the Oxford vaccine is 90% effective.
To be able to see that actually it had all been worthwhile was just incredible. My kids were delighted. They did a little celebration dance in the kitchen. Yeah, it was just brilliant. And then all of us watched the news.
Wow. Woo.
Sleeves up. Syringes ready. Vaccine in.
It is the biggest vaccination programme in British history.
Whether a church hall, a town hall, a temple or a car park, there are more and more places right round the country where the vaccine is on offer, helping to loosen the grip the pandemic has had on our country for such a long time.
To vaccinate this many people, it's a remarkable feat, really.
30,000 volunteers signed up to help the NHS with the rollout of the vaccines.
For me, it really hit home when my dad was vaccinated. I felt quite proud. proud that my dad got my vaccine.
But I have to say this is a huge team effort. There are lots of people who've been working really hard on delivering this project.
Well, on behalf of everybody watching and all of us here in the BBC newsroom, thank you. It's just tremendous news.